Hey people, I was reading this a couple weeks ago, and I got it all in a folder. I leave the link up here where I've been hitting different parts of this, and it was that old book on cheerology that had me come look at this. And I don't remember exactly which ones I read, but I'm going to try to read all these 13 lines quick here. But I want to start with this word not. And it comes up a couple different ways here. And like I tell you, if you're ignoring this mark here that tells you to read this word backwards and forwards, you read the A words backwards. And so this is where they're getting this not from. When you read this backwards, the L followed by the A reads as an N. It's not just an L, it's an N. You know, this way it's an all, but this way it's an N, N-A. And then you're ignoring this mark, so you're reading this to T. And this is where they're getting this not from. And then down lower, it comes up a couple more times here. You see it here, spelled the L-A, they say is not now. And I tell you, this pronounces as nose in. And then here it is again with a and, not. And so if you have not seen, you might have heard about it, and that's what this is. And a narration. All you got was a narration. Somebody told you about it because you didn't see it, and not you have seen. You caught the narration. And if you didn't take notice, and you N-A-T, N-O-T, not do. You didn't take notice, and not do. And that's where you get the word ta-da, after a magic trick used to present something. Take notice of this. Ta-da. But like I say, none of these are words. These are all just syllables. You got to put the words together and not do. And not, you should take notice. And not do. And down lower, I'm sure it comes up a couple more times here. And not, you will fast. And so they're getting this, N-A-N-O-T here. But I'm going to read this with this mark. I'm not going to read the A words backwards. But this is a ration, R-S-H-O-N. The ration. And backwards, A-V of M-U-X, of much tax. They taxing your rations a lot. That's where they're getting this fast from. Not a fast as in not to eat, but a fast as in much. It tax them. And we'll see if it comes up again here lower. Here it is in line 7. It's a N-A-T, a naughty. And not hide yourself. That means, and from your own flesh not hide yourself. That's nudity, and N-A, a double T reads as a T-I. Naughty all'em. Everybody's doing the naughty. They're all naked and naughty. A naughty all'em. Hide your naughties, what Grandma would say. And here, if you're ignoring this mark, this is a nake. This is an N-A-I-K-Z. A nakies. And B-U. And an M-I-M reads as a E-N-I-U. A naked is bueno. A naked is good. Good to be naked. When you go into the water, you might want to be naked. A naked is bueno. But when you're reading it with the mark, it's assure. N-E-N, assure. Now. N-A-W. Now. N-O. Now. B-Z. A buzz. And then a K-I-K. The buzz kicks in. The B reading as an N. And in assure now, buzz kicks in. And that's the last time not comes up. But if your Hebrew instructor is telling you to pronounce this as a la, your Hebrew instructor has no clue. He's just going by what he's told. He has no idea how to read this. But the L followed by the A reads as an N. No. So I read a bunch of parts of this. I'll leave in the link up here in that folder. And I'm going to try to just read through this and not explain these words. You can catch them in those movies. And it's the only way I better get these 13, 14 lines in. But if you've seen them, it'll give you a better idea what this is about, because it's about the priests, when people are poor, the beggars, when they go see the priest for some bread. The priest was trading sex for bread, and that's what this is all about. And it's talking about this hand gesture here. It's like when you flip somebody off. If you turn it sideways and point somebody out, it means that the guy you're pointing at wouldn't mind being screwed in his ass. He's gay. And that should be in the first movie of this folder. For a beggar when I'll kiss it is kiss of rearum. Full cue, good lammy, push 'em. Will vite jock be that'em. They say Jacob is the most mentioned person in the Bible. And it's because it's not one person. It's that jack of. And the words around it describe which jack that is. Is he the lumberjack? It's the jack be that'em. The one that does that thing. Today am I address when would at track Egyptian. As go was wrecked it stiff. Has whom sept all who knows by shall winum sept if Dick's different all him itch puts win. An itch is to plant the seed. The itch PTS puts win. And so the first I reads as a A, and a VA reads as a TE, and it's a TEW. Today my address when would at track. And the first one reads a JEPTS, Egyptian. As go. This is the goyim, the foot to. As go. And IA reads as a vav, was. And this is where you word Jasher. Jasher is the upright man. And that's where it comes from. Was erect. It's stiff, a hard on. A jasher is a hard on. And the go was wrecked, it's stiff, has. Whom sept is the one who's taken the dick. Whom sept all hue, all types, all hue knows by shall when. This is the day it's going to happen, today. By shall when sept. If it's dick's different, all him itch puts win. And limits men, why narration in when fishing, why not do in by a mixum committum it's so what's pepsicle from sievits at vicum tinges when to rive amidst a taxum will the cut in a grip ration of much taxum a sievum less from job more fuckum. The keys hijacksum ever a wivum on what hadum. The keys hijacksum ever a wive on what hadum. A nups, your prenups. Before you get any of this nups, you got to have a prenups. Then the nuptials, The nups will, W-E-L, we'll sep a cog man, a con man. And so the stiffy, this is all about astrology. You see it in this old Jewish calendar. And the cog is here, this little gear that keeps everything running in line. And it's the cog and the con. Either way, a con and a cog, the same definition. And the con is the priest. And the stiffy, that's the spire, sits up in the middle and casts a shadow and has a different wife every day. It moves on down. Every morning and every evening it has a different wife. And this is where the word hijacks come from. H-I-E, high, and J-E-X, jacks. And that's where they're getting this fast from. High jets. Jets means to throw something. And high means quickly, and quickly thrown, high jets. But the key hijacks them, and steals the key. The key hijacks them, ever a wife 'em. The one I have chosen of a day, ever a wife 'em on what? The one that's getting afflicted, on what had 'em, a nups, will sep, a cogman, the con man. Rose why sack, rose whose sack, Dupree, D-P-R-I-X, like a Grand Prix, the price. And so to deprice, is to depreciate, to lose value, Dupree. Dupree, jewels, the E after the O is a U. The jewels, it cram, whatsome, vivum, it livum, erection leave, and lost your erection. Helt, the VA, reading as a T or a D. And helt is its sum, ever upped, U-P-T, upped, hurts, double H, H-I-R-T-S, the hurts in what? The hurts but. Upped in hurts but. Upped in hurts in what? Rash. And the E following the O reads evolve. What raged? What with who slack? What with who slacker? It sucks 'em, haps 'em, a cleat, with it, not few. Helt to purse, to rove, come, a cone, the dog, the wild dog, a coney, a maraudum, the wild pack of dogs. Taboo, the taboo vite, don't bring them into your house. A taboo vite. See hard, a harder is whore muxy too. Muxy, quickly. Same as the M-U-X, M-K-S, quickly. And see harder is whore muxy to in source, naughty allum. As the info cause her the Horus, the light, the sun comes up and the info it causes, everybody can see now. As the info causer Horus directs from here, tax me, and whilst, to shrink back, a whilst, to penis stiff sieve, the double K here, the K-I-V, C-I-V, a sieve, and the shrinks back, a penis stiff sieve, would you, and who, I-A rings a U, who seps, you who takes it, shall be a rear guard, you who seps. As it for a view, V-I-E-W, a view high of, the N followed by the E reads as a B or V. A high of its vow, a vow, and I-A reads a U, a vowum renin, R-E-N, and a double N followed by the I reads as a I-N, they switch places. A vow Avowum renin. Renin is where your word children come from. It's an Egyptian word for screwing. Avowum renin. You know, the one that's on the bottom. Avowum renin. A wrist. You know, R-I-S-T. W-R-I-S-T. The wrist, a serm. S-I-R-M. You know, a sermon is to tell, you know, and the wrist tells. You know, the gay man, you can tell they're gay by their wrist. The wrist, serm, took 'em with, you know, took double K, I am, took 'em with the slack, it's vowed, V-O-U-T, vout. The slack, it's vout, and brand, B-R-N, and the Vav Aleph, you know, reads as the T or the D, the brand, you know, and that's their brand. You can tell by their wrist. The wrist says the serm it took 'em with, a slack it's vout, a brand when. And I think that was the first movie in this folder, but that's what many of these ancient writers were saying this meant, the conficus faso, and it means he wouldn't mind it up the ass when you brand them with this finger, you point them out. A top feller of in fish conniption, of its via was rich besack. Horace depletes its harem. And I read that in that last movie, I believe. I was talking about the naps, the soul. And don't miss that last movie on that. I go into a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, a top feller of in a fish conniption. You know, a fish conniption is a fish on deck. A fish conniption. A conniption of its by way of was rich, besack. Horace depletes. You know, the sun comes up and Horace depletes its harem. A nick you it mid vest by of its sex shootin' fish, coatsome tice, a jellict's weight. As Janeer, we've come what's so in, a sure now buzz kicks in when of. So a nick is to get a piece of ass, a nick, your iniquities. A nick you it made amongst a vest to fill the vessel, the vest, you know, a via is by way of, but to vest by of its sex, you know, the X is the T-S-E-X, the sex shooting fish coats of the fish coots, K-U-O-T-S, the cootsum tice, but the fish coats tice, you know, that's the ancient priests, and they had a fish hat and a fish coat, and they had the seed bag here. They were spreading the seed. It's all carved in stone, undeniable. Had his magic wand and his seed bag and a fish coat. A nick you it mid, a vest by of its sex, a sex shooting fish coatsome tice, you know, to entice them, coatsome entice, a jelix, J-E-L-I-X, you know, angelic, a jelix weight. And so this is a W-H, and the double I reads the A-I-T, and you can see it here, and they're getting it from the vowel points, but I'm reading it as in Egyptian. A double I becomes a A-I-T. A double A becomes a I-A-T, and a double I becomes a A-I-T. And a weight comes from this Old English. It's got many spellings here unused now. but it's a weight, a creature, a being, a demon, a monster, a living thing. A nicuit mid ves by of its sex wetten fish coatsum tice, angelics weight, the angelic being, the angelic demon, as Janeer, the K is not like but as Janeer, we've come whatso in. A sure now buzz kicks in. A veen of, V-E-N-I-V, a veen of, to intervene. Veen meaning between. But this here lets me think that last word is reading as bueno, because they always double things up, bueno and bueno. And Benham, a catcher butthole. And me use, double M, M-I, me used it where you do a turd. D-U-R-T is a T-U-R-D. A turd fumy. And you use it where a turd fumy. And a furl, and shall be called you, a furls, a goader parts. A goader parts, where you goad something is in its ass. To make it go, you poke it in the ass. The goader parts, the ass, the repair of the breach. And a furl is goader parts. From 70 bottles of it. And then AM, the morning comes. And AM, visit Sevums in draggle cause what? The Sabbath, when you got to drag your foot from doing, got to go to church. And visit Sevums in draggle cause what? If sick by 'em could see of a rattles in tongue. You go to church on the Sabbath to listen to of a rattles in tongue. To feed us, you them sieved, us bid to, and to put your hands up to bid to, and shall honor him. Us bid to most what track I commits, M-I-T-S, I commits, and the VA rating is a D-E, T-E or D-E, a D-pits, could bread bear. As it's young, all have you, the work entice, all a tomb from what yards, and the accletition held, the joke in of a kick, double K, K-I-K, a kick, and the double I, P-A-Y, a kick pay who head of her, whoever's in the front, kick them in the ass. So you'll see this Giro symbol all over the Vatican, and everybody who thinks this stands for Christ, you're lost. It was around long before they say Jesus Christ came by. You'll see it here on this ancient money, 222 BC, and you'll see this symbol right here underneath the eagle. And it's the ancient symbol of the army, the enemies of the Hebrews. The Giro is the Hebrew word for our enemy, and they put it in the same category as Satan. But this is why the ancient so-called Hebrew writers talk so bad about them, because they were the enemy. They've been around a long time, And you can see here in this image, you see the shadow here. So you know this is noonday, and so this is pointing north. And so this is west here. The sun's going to come up over here in the east. And depending on the season, it's going to lay the shadow on a different wife. It's going to pick a different wife every month. It's going to move just a little bit every day. And the whole idea is to keep up with the times. Astrology. You know, Hebrew is actually a Hebrew word for astrologer. And the priest's job, you know, he's got to go out every morning and mark and see exactly where this shadow's pointing at, and every evening when it's pointing the other direction, and go check, see the mark where it's pointing at, and marry them up. You keep logs of this, and you see what happens on Earth when this shadow points here, and you know this is liable to be what happens next year when this shadow points here. It's all about time. And this should help you understand why nobody can read this, why none of the Jewish rabbis can read this, why they wear the silly hats. That's to let you know that they can't read it. None of them will say they can read it. They'll say they study it, but nobody fesses up that they can read it. I don't know that anybody at the Vatican can read it either. They don't want anybody to be able to read this, because once you're able to read this, it ruins the story that they've put on it. And it tells a whole new history other than what they've taught us. And so if you want to make more sense of this, I read a bunch of these lines, 1, 2, or 3 lines in a movie, and I'll put them all in this folder here. And if you've seen them first and then watch this, and you'll see some things change, because as I do the movies, I catch things, and I change as I learn. But if you watch those movies first, you'll catch on to this better. And I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.